Welcome into Quest for the Perfect Bracket. We are joined again by Kaitlan Collins, CNN's chief White House correspondent and anchor of The Source. Kaitlan, last year you did pretty well in your bracket group. I mean, you picked the correct champion. You came in sixth amongst your CNN colleagues and 87th percentile. That's pretty good. So we're excited to see your bracket this year.
Okay, but you know where I messed up last year, which was essentially a disservice to my home state, which I did not have Alabama going very far, and then of course they made it to the Final Four and made history, and so this year I'm overcorrecting probably, but
Okay.
yeah, my dad gave me so much blowback for what I did with my bracket last year. He literally couldn't believe it. So I'm trying to fix that this year. So this is more of a vibes bracket this year than
Okay.
let me see what, all the experts are picking and make my decisions there. I'm just going off
You
gut.
just you switched up your tactics this year,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Okay, well, take us through some of your picks. What are some first round upsets that stood out to you?
Okay, so I love March Madness because it's just so, I just love, as a reporter, I love like not knowing what's going to happen and just kind of having to follow the story, which I think is literally March Madness. Like, you can take the best rankings and it's going to get blown up somehow. And so you never know who that's going to be. In my first rounds, I have UC San Diego beating Michigan. We'll see. I mean, obviously that's going to be tough for them, but I still think it's going to be a fun game potentially, and so they're a wild card pick that I have, and then I also have Drake beating Missouri. So I'll be watching that just to see what happens. I mean, I feel like when you're picking, everyone wants to pick the bracket buster or the one that's gonna knock everyone else out. But you can't pick too many of those, is what
Right.
I've learned over the years, because that's where you get burned. Because there's only going to be one or two. Very rarely do you see this happening on a large basis. So those are my two really like kind of stepping out there, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Well, you have the right idea. Stats, that's usually the tip you give. It's like you can't pick too many, but you want to try and
Right.
get the right one, right?
Yeah, the hard is getting the right one. And Kaylin, you're on kind of, I think, where the mindset a lot of people are on is Drake is the most popular upset pick for people right now, by far about 44%. So that's pretty good.
Why is that? Why do people think that Drake is going to do so much better?
Yeah, I think they're a team that people are familiar with. You know, they've been here before. And 11/6 are always popular. I think people may be a little down on Missouri as like kind of a chance for that upset. And the Ovens are doing pretty well. VCU's at 38%, but I think it's just that they're a team that's been in March Madness before Drake has, and like they were I think a 10 seed last year, so like they can get there. The hard part is getting over that hump and getting that win. It's been many decades since their last win inside the 64 team bracket. But I think that's kind of the key. And I know that UC San Diego in the Sweet 16, which is also go on the cool pick because they are the favorite of the Cinderellas or double-digit seeds to make it that far. Almost 18.5% have UC San Diego in the Sweet 16, which is the best for the double-digit seeds. So you're kind of picking the cool kids are on that bandwagon right now.
Yeah. Well, you never really know, and so it's like I was filling out my bracket after the show on Monday night, and I was just trying to think through, okay, like where's my risk?
Yeah.
I'm so
Right.
competitive with my bracket that like the minute it's busted, I'm like so depressed about it.
Same.
So we'll see. I don't know. I'm feeling hopeful.
All right, well, I feel good about it too. And you said you went based off of vibes, so it seems like the vibes are high
Yes.
with all of this. But take us through your final four, who you have going all the way, and then your champion pick, which I know your alma mater is Bama, and you said you might be going with the Tide this year.
Yes, and I know everyone's like looking at the SEC versus the Big Ten. Who's going to have more teams that survived the second round? We'll see what that looks like. Obviously, the SEC's had a really strong showing. In my Final Four right now, I have Auburn, which was, as a Bama girl, tough for me to
Hard
do
for
anything
you.
with them. But I try to appeal to my logical, realistic side. And I have Auburn and Florida. Obviously, Florida is like the buzzy team. Everyone is talking about their program and how well they've done. And then obviously I've got Tennessee and Alabama. And I actually had a friend who was a big Tennessee fan yesterday send me, this kid was wearing a Tennessee hat and it said "I hate Alabama" on it. And I was like, I gotta get that hat to put in my office. Like if we end up beating them, so we'll see. So that's my Final Four. I'm feeling hopeful about it. And then obviously I have Alabama in the championship game with Florida. And I was just texting Charles Barkley about this, and we have a feud obviously over Alabama and Auburn, and
good.
I said I have Alabama going all the way, as I said, trying to course correct. And all he responded is, "Okay, you're wrong." Cried emoji. So Charles Barkley does not have confidence in my picks right now.
Yeah.
But you know what? You gotta have like faith in your team, you know?
Even Charles Barkley doesn't know. I mean, nobody knows. But if your alma mater is, doing that well, I feel like you gotta
You
go
have
with
to.
it. You
gotta.
can't not, right?
Yeah.
You said
Yeah.
last year you got a lot of crap from your dad and everybody for not picking Bama.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
Tennessee has been really fun to watch this year. I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the country, obviously. I sit next to a Tennessee fan in the White House briefing room, actually. And so, if we're sitting there waiting for the briefing to start, we'll kind of jab back and forth, like our thoughts on either football or now basketball season. But I'm excited to watch them and see how they do. But with Alabama, yeah, I mean, I love Mark Sears, and just watching him play is so much fun. And I was in Tuscaloosa the other weekend during the Alabama Tennessee game, and it's that environment. To see how much it's grown and become more of a basketball school since I graduated 10 years ago has been really fun. And we would go to the games, but it certainly didn't have the kind of just camaraderie and spirit that it does now. And so it's been really fun to see a football school put so much effort and investment and have the students really be there for the basketball team.
Well, Stats, how many fans across the nation are going with
Yeah.
Bama, with Caitlin?
So right now, Alabama is a champ pick on above a little more than 3% of brackets. 3%, yeah. They're the lowest of the two seeds, but we're talking like small margins here. It's not like they're like way behind everybody else. But yeah, it's funny. Everyone talked about UNC Duke in the Final Four a few years ago, but I think not people talking about the chance of an Auburn Alabama title game. That could be kind of crazy. I mean, it's possible.
My dad is a sleeper agent on Alabama basketball, and he has been like a huge fan, since Anthony Grant was a coach. He's always been going to the games. And when there was that huge, number 1 and number 2 matchup between Auburn and Alabama, that was what my dad was talking about. He was like, what if we play them again, and then we're back playing them in the championship? And so we'll see. I mean, who knows? That would be like, it might break the state apart, but I think to see the entire state of Alabama would be in San Antonio for that game.
Yeah.
And I think it would just be, I mean, it's just so funny because we're just, we're used to the football fields. We're not used to meeting on the court. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch.
It would definitely be a change of pace, but a lot of fun. I mean, the SEC doesn't not go all in on anything. So I'm sure it would be a fun championship. Caitlin, we appreciate your time so much. We know you got a lot going on, but thanks for showing us your bracket and spending some time with us.
Of course, thanks for having me. And as we say here in Washington all the time, roll Tide.
Love it. Thanks, Caitlin.